A great photo starts here. It's about knowing what makes an image work and framing that potential in the real world. But reality doesn't always cooperate. Maybe the weather turned, or the light wasn't quite right. We edit to finalize that vision. We edit to bridge the gap between what the camera saw and what you felt. Welcome to the Aftershot. I'm Mike. We're going to use an image I took last October of the Musée des Confluences in Lyon, France. We're going to show you a simple workflow that takes a static architectural shot and gives it movement and drama. We're going to use Lightroom, your favorite image editor, and see if it compares to a collection of plugins. We'll start by importing the image into Lightroom and opening in develop mode. Now take the highlight slider and drag it all the way to the left, -100. We need to recover every scrap of data in the sky because we're about to mess it up, but in a good way. The camera froze the clouds, but my eye remembers them moving. So let's head into your favorite imaging software. I'm using Photoshop. A free alternative if you're being budget conscious is Photopea. I'll put the link in the description. I'm now going to right-click on the image and go Edit in Adobe Photoshop. I then select Edit a Copy with Lightroom adjustments. Remember, we lowered the highlights. It's open in Photoshop, make that full screen, and going to duplicate the layer. That's Command J on my Mac. Then we're going to select the sky. Now, you may notice there's a few gaps in the selection. We're going to fix that up. When you're happy with your selection, we're going to add a layer mask. You can see if I turn off the bottom layer, we've now isolated the sky in the top layer. And this is where we're going to add a little motion blur. Make sure the image is selected. We go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur. As you can see, selected 20 and 90. And you can see the effect that has on the clouds. We don't want it too surreal. We want it to look soft and dreamy. I'm going to select OK. And if I add that back in there, you can see a little blur on some of the building edge. We're going to fix that. We're going to select the brush, ensure that the layer mask is active, and just run around the edge to clean that up. And you'll see that that should take away any bleed from the building. And clean that right up. When you're happy with that, we're going to flatten the layers. And close the image. That should ask you to save. Make sure you do that. And if we go back into Lightroom, there you'll have the second image that we just created with the motion blur on the sky. Now look at the building and the water. There are these two big highlights. These are distraction magnets. Viewer attention goes to the brightest part of the frame, and we don't want them looking there. So first grab a radial gradient and slap it on the water to reduce the highlights. Just rotate that to get it into position. And we'll bring the highlights down, not 100% this time, around about 80. Now the building is a different shape. So this time we're going to add a brush. And we're going to lower the exposure this time. And the highlights if needed. Now we have the structure, it's time for the style. We're converting to black and white, and I'm going to show you two ways. First in Lightroom, and then later on we'll come back to this point and we'll do it again using the plugin called the Nick Collection. So to start, we're going to right click and create a virtual copy. Hit V, and that turns it to black and white. Now you'll find a panel with B and W, and we can change the colors to affect the tones, even though it's in black and white. So the red, somewhere around about mid-30s. And yellow, up around 70. Nice. Green, we're going to drop down around about -40. Blue, -90. I want to get that sky nice and dark. Now back to the basic panel, and we're going to take texture up to 60. And the clarity to about 23. We're going to add one more item. Under effects, we're going to make a vignette. I like to feather that out so the edge is not too sharp. Reduce the midpoint. Really want to separate the building, and then just drop back on that amount. Makes a big difference. Okay, that's doing it in the budget, and this time we'll do it with Nick Collection. So right click, edit. First of all, we're going to go to Silver FX. Again, we'll edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. And here you can see all the presets. There's quite a number of them. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm interested in getting that sky dark and really separating the subject. So I'm just going to look at those. First one, not bad, a bit flat. Now that offers a nice lot of contrast, nice and punchy, but I don't think the sky's dark enough. A bit too much. Looking for dark skies. Again, a little insipid. Now that's nice. That's a definite contender. Going back a little. I think we have a winner. I'm going to go with number 14, Grad ND. Hit apply. Now we have a nice conversion. We're going to add a little more texture and a vignette, but not do it as we did it before in Lightroom. We're going to do this in color effects. It's the secret sauce. Why color effects for a black and white image? This time I'll do original. Because the tonal tools in here are incredible. I use a custom preset I've built over many years. It contains 13 different filters. I don't use them all every time. I treat it like a buffet. I toggle them on and off to see what adds value. Here you can see all the presets that come with color effects. I prefer not to use those. As I said, I've got my own, which I've added 13 filters to it. I'm going to close all these so that you can see them more easily, and we'll go through each one. So start with clear view. As you can see, I have the opacity down, and just keep your eye on the image. We'll activate it. As you can see, it adds a bit of punch, so we'll keep that. Next, classical soft focus. I don't know why, but I just find this makes an image more cinematic. Again, we do not use a lot. Dark and lighten. Now that's to me is a much more effective way of adding a vignette. You'll see it's darken the outside and lightens the inside. You can control that here, and you can control the shape and the opacity and the strength. We can center the tile, you can place the center or place it somewhere else if your subject's off center. But I think it does a much better job than the base vignette in Lightroom. Next we have detail extractor. Now that makes it quite punchy, and I like what it does to the subject, but we don't really want it on the sky or the water. So what we can do is we can omit that by adding these control points. As you can see, the effect now is just on the building. Glamour Glow is another one that helps to making it cinematic, I believe. Now, I use graduated neutral density a lot, usually in daytime landscapes. It's not going to add much here. In fact, it would make it too dark. So on this occasion, we're not going to use it. Paper toner is very, very good for adding that little retro vintage look. Again, you can adjust it. I've only used a very small amount. You can see here on the opacity. I like what it does. Tonal contrast is very powerful. It's not going to be as evident on this image because we've converted it in Silver FX. But when you use this on a base image, it really gives a punch. White neutralizer does the opposite. So where the paper toner added the tone, the neutralizer, as you can see, removes the color cast. I wanted that there, so we're going to leave that off. Pro contrast, well, you can see the punch that adds. And we don't have it turned up all the way. That's about halfway. Now, these last three, Sunlight, Skylight Filter, and Indian Summer, I use them a lot on color images. They're not going to have much effect here, so we'll leave them out. I'm going to apply that. And there we have it. Make that full screen for you. And we'll compare it to the original and the one we made in Lightroom. We went from a flat static reality to a moody resolved image, one that matches what the eye felt. Here's my challenge to you. Go find an old photo on your phone or in that shoebox at the top of the closet, one that's, but it means something to you, and try this black and white conversion. To share your results, or just say hello, check the link in the description to join our community. Next week, we're tackling a tougher challenge. We're going to take a photo that is dark, blurry, and frankly a disaster, and try and turn it into a succulent feast. If you learned something, please hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit subscribe. I'm Mike, this is the Aftershot.